Yo, welcome back to the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel and another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files. I'm your host, Stephen Keeler, of course, owner of the Rock Fantasy Record Smoke Shop and Pinball Menagerie right here in Middletown, New York, and I'm broadcasting from the Rock Fantasy Studio Bunker again tonight. So we're going to have a chat about two albums that have been released recently that both have the word priest in common. The latest from Judas Priest, the Invincible Sheild, and the latest from KK's Priest, The Sinner Rides Again. Now, KK's Priest just came through the United States on tour. Judas Priest is getting ready to come on tour and do an extensive North American tour, I believe, starting next month. And I thought it'd be fun to get on here and compare these two albums. I think they're both super strong albums. I thought that one would be much easier to judge than the other, and the more I listen to one of them, I just feel it to be stronger and stronger. But we'll talk a little bit about both records before we go around to our guests. First off is Invincible Sheild. It's the 19th studio album by, of course, English heavy metal legends, Judas Priest. It was released March 6th in 2024. And on Epic and Columbia. And it was produced by the band's touring guitarist, Andy Sneap. And it debuted at number 18 on the U.S. Billboard chart. And it topped Billboard's top hard rock albums. And second off is The Sinner Rides Again. It's the second studio album by English band, KK's Priest, formed by former Judas Priest guitarist KK Downing. It was released on September 29th, 2023 through Napalm Records. And those are the two records we're going to talk about tonight. I've asked tonight's panel to tell us what they've liked about each album and give us a rating on each album of 1 to 10. And let's say you've only got money for one of these records and you're in the record shop. We're going old-fashioned. We're not going to buy it on digital. We're going to just go to the record shop and pick it up since I've got one. And we're going to say, you got money to buy one of these tonight. Which one are you going to go with? It's kind of like an album battle, but I just wanted to kind of review both of these records. And tonight's panel, we got Robert Tuttle from Lady Evil, bass player. We got Obi Redden from Norway, our faraway vampire that stays up all night. We got Tony Dio from the north. He just saw the KK Priest tour. We got Count Ralphus. We got James Delisle. He's the bass player from Crucial Pain. First time ever on the Rock Fantasy Files. We hope he comes back again. He will be performing locally if you're in the Middletown, New York area next Saturday, April 6th at the Rock Fantasy Thrash Bash with Scarlet. I'm
Scarlet King,
Scarlet
Fire
King.
Haze.
I almost said Scarlet something else.
Scarlet Fever,
Fire Haze, and of course Damage Inc., the Long Island-based Metallica tribute. We got Levi Nayman, one of my fellow Judas Priest fans. We go to a lot of shows together. He also is one of my pinball buddies. We got Ed Farsley from Armageddon Productions in the room. We got Denny Sasquatch from the Mighty Aggression. And thank you so much, Denny, for that care package. So if you're in the Middletown area and you want to pick up some Aggression merchandise, we got a ton of T-shirts. He sent me like his whole merch booth, I think.
You gotta support your store, buddy.
We got some CDs. We already sold a copy of Frozen Souls the other day on CD and a couple other CDs already. We got Tim Denbom, our special guest, of course, the lead vocalist of the New York area Judas Priest tribute, British Steel. And we got Tracy Stanton with us again tonight, too. So we're going to go around to each guest, and you can tell us about each album. We're only going to go around once tonight and do the ratings. And let's kick this thing off tonight. I'm going to start off with Tony Dio tonight.
Ed Farsley is supposed to start with.
Oh, well, Ed Farsley, I'll put you second. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, all good. That's fine.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me all right? I know I had some problem with the mics before.
Yeah, Ed's got to go to work, so he's going first.
Still a little weird?
Still a little weird, Ed. Shave that beard off, Ed.
I don't know about that. Any better?
Yeah, that's better.
I think when you lean in a little bit, it picks up better.
Stay close to the mic, I think.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. All right,
That's it.
anyway,
That's good.
hold on.
That's good.
Cool. Yeah, I guess the way I had the phone set up, I guess I gotta hold it for now. Oh well, I gotta get off soon anyway. So anyway, these two albums, Judas Priest. I mean, everyone loves Judas Priest. One of the greatest metal bands of all time. To have two Priest incarnation type bands going at the same time is great. I mean, we've had that in the past with Saxon, Queensryche, and Accept, and a lot of other bands. And hey, you know, at this point in time, to have these bands still going in one way or another 40, 50 years later, you can't beat it. And especially going strong. Both of these bands are really, really good still, and one is very new. So I'm going to start off with KK Priest. When this band first started, I didn't know what to expect. With Ripper Owens singing, I was just, all right, it's going to be a Ripper Owens, Judas Priest era type band. Didn't really expect a whole lot from them, and I was very, very wrong. Really, really killer band. This album itself is just a brutal display of really heavy metal and speed metal. Ripper's voice is fantastic. Never sounded better, in my opinion. Besides, of course, having the Priest, similarities, I think he sounds a lot like Harry from Jack Panzer, the Tyrant. He's got that sound to him, and he's got that real passion. He's got a great voice on this album. Musically, aggressive as hell. Constant double bass. Really, really up-tempo, thrashy, heavy metal. Really killer album in every way. I was very, very surprised at how good it was as it started. The album started off, the first two songs, just fantastic. Just ripped your head off, kicked things off in a really great way. The album has little ups and downs. Some of like the main, a couple of the songs a little bit slower. I felt myself getting a little distracted, a little restless listening to them. I think in more listens, I'll appreciate them more and love the entire album start to finish. But overall, really, really great record. A couple of songs that really stood out, like I said, the first two songs, fantastic. What do we got? Sons of the Sentinel and Strike of the Viper, great start. And the last song, Wash Away Your Sins. Definitely a slower song, definitely a slower beginning, but a great song and a great closer. I give that album a 9. I really like that album a lot, and I think another 6 months listening to it will probably be a 10. Great record. Judas Priest, again, like I said, Judas Priest are a fantastic band. Their early career is just flawless in every way. Since they've been doing all these last albums, they've been good, in my opinion, better than Maiden, because Maiden albums I can't really get into as much, and I love Maiden, but it's like Priest are more accessible to me. They've got the speed metal feel to them. I've always appreciated them more and delved into their music more and really loved them. This album, when it first started off with the first like keyboard notes and stuff, the synthesizers, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be another Turbo Lover. Which thankfully it started off, I'm like, oh my god. But it kicked in, and as the first song, Panic Attack, went on, it got better and better, to the point it sounds a lot like Painkiller, especially the end part of the song. The album itself in general is a good Priest album. I didn't find myself really being blown away by anything or just like, oh my God, this song is fantastic. Every song was good, not fantastic, like kind of like the last few albums, like Firepower, like what the hell was another album?
Redeemer of Souls.
Yes, exactly. Angel of Retribution is like good albums, but not classic Priest albums. Whereas the KK album, that was fantastic. So basically, a couple of good songs on this album. As God is my witness. I think that's the best song on the album. Vicious Circle. It's a bonus song that I was listening to because I don't actually have the album yet. I was gonna buy it in Houston, but it was like $55, and I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna buy it from Steve's store. So I don't have it yet, so I was listening to it on Spotify. But the song Vicious Circle, which is a bonus song in the CD, is a really, really good song. That's kind of reminiscent of early Priest. And Serpent and the King, also another good song. I'd give this album a 6.5. Judging by old Priest albums, I would probably judge it less than that compared to the classic albums of Priest. But for an album, a band that's been doing this for over 50 years, to have an album this strong is a really good sign. I cannot wait to see them live. That's it for me. And if I had my choice going into the store to buy one of them, by name alone, it would be Judas Priest for obvious reasons. But judging by the albums themselves, KK's Priest definitely the stronger of the two albums. I thank you guys very much. Unfortunately, I gotta leave for work now, so enjoy the rest of the show. I will see you guys later, and I'll watch the show at another time. Have a great night.
Later, Ed.
Thanks,
Night.
Ed.
Take it easy. Awesome.
Cool.
So Ed,
All right,
Ed brings up a real interesting point. It's like when you're judging Priest albums, you're kind of judging it by the last, 45 years of Priest albums.
Mhm.
When you're judging KK's album, it's almost like you're judging it by, this is a brand new thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how that might affect some of our ratings.
Mm-hmm. And I flashed the wrong album just a minute ago. I'm definitely having the olds tonight. I brought 2 records home from work, and and my KK Priest is still on the turntable at Rock Fantasy, and I brought the album that came out a couple of years ago. So I'm not going to hold that up again because I look stupid. Somebody else hopefully has that prop. I'm sure Tony Dio or someone has it.
Yeah, I got it here.
Anyhow, I will let Tony go second now. Sorry about that, everyone. I had a couple of senior moments tonight. Trying to get better at it.
Yeah, Ed pretty much summed it up there. Almost in my same opinion. KK's Priest really didn't know what to expect from him, and it's pretty much a continuation of what they were doing. Judas Priest was doing during the Ripper era, and I've never thought that Ripper sounded like Rob Halford when they come down. We got to, they've got a Rob Halford sound alike. I was like, nah, he doesn't sound like Rob Halford. He just sings the Halford stuff very well. He's got his own style, and he does sound a little more like Harry Tyrant Conklin to me. It's just like what Ed was saying. Than he does more of Rob Halford. But he's a great singer, and he's got a very powerful voice. And I just saw them recently, and they were great in concert, and they did a good mixture of the KK's Priest stuff and the some classic Judas Priest as well. But so this is their second album, and it's the this first one was called Sermons of the Sinner. This one calls The Sinner Rides Again. And KK's kind of he definitely harkens back to a lot of Judas Priest previous song titles when they had The Sinner, and the opening track on this particular album is Sons of the Sentinel. The last album had a song called Return of the Sentinel, and he's got a song in here called One More Shot at Glory. And but yeah, they so like I said, it kind of throws back a little bit with some of the song titles. But it's very fast. It's got the modern production to it. A lot of good songs on it. When I first got it, I was like, I don't think this is as good as the first one. But the more I've listened to it, I like it more than the first one now. The opening track, The Sons of Sentinel, is just a great opener, just fast paced, just a kick-ass song. And the second track on here, Strike of the Viper, love that one as well. It's another hard driving track. And one of the other ones I really like, the One More Shot of Glory. It's just got a good hard driving, kind of a groove thing going on with that. And they slow down a little bit on that one. And kind of, I do like the last track, Wash Your Sins Away. It's a slow track, but it builds. It's got some cool riffs in it. Great guitar solo, great guitar work all over this album. He's got a guitar player named AJ. It's KK with another guitar player named AJ Mills, and both of them are great players. Honorable mention track on that one, I would say, Reap the Whirlwind, which they actually performed live. That one kind of throws me back. It kind of sounds like Free Will Burning when it kicks off.
It does, right?
Same kind of guitar riff, same tone. But a great album overall. I would give it an 8 out of 10. And that would move us on to Invincible Sheild, the new Judas Priest. This is one I just recently got. This is supposedly it's alternative artwork. I got this one from their website. All of the I think I counted the other day, there's like 7 different copies of this album that's out. some with
At
different
least.
artwork,
I guess it is a little different than mine, right?
different color vinyls. You got a lot of like lightning bolts and stuff
Yeah,
around
yeah, I
yours.
can see the difference. Yeah,
And
weird.
this one came with the bonus tracks on a 7-inch single you got with it. So it's 3 bonus tracks on
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
pretty
fucking cool. Like songs in the key of life.
it. Yeah,
That's really
exactly.
cool.
Exactly. Good comparison there.
Because you know those songs, I was just gonna say, I'm just going with the songs that are on the album because
Me
I don't
too.
have the extended cut. That's really cool.
I don't either.
7-inch.
But like I said, they've got various colors and it's just so many different versions. You can get picture disc and all kinds of stuff. So, I'm a Priest collector, but I'm just going to stick with one copy. I didn't even buy the CD to have it on CD. I'm just like, all right, I'm good. I've got the double vinyl on the bonus tracks and I've got a digital to listen to in the car. So I'm good to go. But yeah, this is a really strong record. When they first started releasing tracks, the first track they released was Panic Attack, and that one I was like, that's okay, but it's like really contrived heaviness. Didn't do much for me at the time, but actually listening to it as a whole from beginning to end, Panic Attack is a great opening track. It really is. But kind of like Ed was saying, that guitar synth part reminded me of Turbo. And it's got that part going on in it, and it's just kind of reminds me of a throwback to Turbo. But it is a good opening track, but it's not one of my favorites. I really like Serpent and the King. I think that's one of the best tracks on here for sure. And Crown of Thorns, that's another one. It's not really a ballad. It's just a more mid-pace, classic Priest type song. Got a good hook about it. I actually got a Crown of Thorns 7-inch single. This came with a German edition of Metal Hammer, so you had to get that to get the record, and that's pretty cool. It's got a live track of Painkiller on the B side. And my number one favorite song on this one would be Gates of Hell. That one just really caught me, and that's definitely got more of that classic Priest power chord. It has some room to breathe because there's so much on here that's kind of like fast paced speed metal, like they have done over the last 4 or 5 albums, going even back to the Ripper era stuff. They just got heavier over the years, and but it's got a good vocal melody in it. It's great chorus, brilliant guitar solos on that, and just for maybe for a couple of honorable mentions, I did like one of the bonus tracks. Actually, it's called "Fight for Your Life." So if you get a chance to check that out, if you don't have the bonus tracks, I thought that was a really cool track that's on here. And Giants in the Sky, that was another one, and that one kind of is a tribute to all our fallen rock heroes that have been, like Dio and Lemmy and everybody just passed on in the last 10 years or 15 years or so. So
Heroes.
What's that?
Kind of reminds me of Heroes.
Yeah, true. So I would give this one a 9 out of 10 because I just think it's just a little bit better than the KK's Priest. It's a really good album. I like it as much as I did Firepower because I was never big. The Redeemer of Souls album didn't do much for me at all. So Firepower I thought was a great comeback for them, and this one is the same. It's just a great record. So if I had to pick between the two, if I didn't have enough money, I would go with the Judas Priest. But like I said, it's just by a hair. They're both just fantastic albums, both of them. It's good that we've got 2 versions of Priest doing this in a way, I think, because it's a lot of good music, and getting to see KK down the other week in a smaller venue environment instead of an amphitheater or a great big arena. I saw him it's a good sized club. It was in Baltimore, but I was standing like right there, and he's like 10 feet from me basically, so that was pretty cool. But yeah,
you put on some good footage from that show.
Yeah, I had to go in there and tape a couple of songs. Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Hoping to see Priest. They're coming around in May, so I'm hoping to go see them. They're playing the area in May.
Yeah, I've got tickets to see the Priest tour. Actually, it's the opening night of the tour in Wallingford, Connecticut, April 19th, I think.
Awesome.
Cool.
The Oakdale.
Oakdale, man. I went there. I saw him last year there. I've been to Oakdale a couple times. It's not a bad ride from here. Parking's pretty cheap if they charge anything, and tickets were way more affordable than anywhere I saw for this tour.
That's good. Yeah.
I saw that British Steel album tour there. It was awesome
Cool.
with Whitesnake.
Cool. That's a good one. All right, so we're gonna move over to Tony Dio gives a vote for Judas and gives a nice explanation of both albums. We're gonna move over to our resident metal collector, Count Ralphus, next.
All right. First, I want to say something about the covers. The one that Tony held up, that looked like the thumbnail that you put up for our chat group, and that one really like seemed to go with this. When you put these two together, it almost looked like the same like piece of art with the fire, but especially more for the one that Tony held up. But then you know, and it got a shield, and then this one sword. Then on the back, this guy's got a sword. So then these two will be fighting each other.
Yeah.
With the sword.
Real
So,
cool.
Definitely.
So
The guy on the
very
back.
similar.
Yeah, the guy on the back almost looks like the Black Knight.
Yeah, they
It's funny how there's knights and horses and shields and swords in both these albums.
Like the two mascots are going to battle here.
yeah.
They might just.
And if Chris Cafferty would have came out, I was gonna hold up the Spirits of Fire, where the guy's got a sword, a flaming sword in the fire. It also looks like it's part of that whole artwork.
Yeah, I just
That's right, because Ripper's on that. That's right.
Yeah, Ripper was on the first one.
I just
But,
heard from Chris, and he said he was gonna make it, got the message late, and was too good of a friend with Ripper to make comments. So he didn't want to get in trouble. So he's
I
not
can
coming.
understand that.
We moved it back a week for him, but he's not making it.
Well, first, I'm going to talk about Invincible Sheild. A lot of hype surrounding this album. I liked it right off the bat. But I think, you know, the drumming is amazing on this. And to think about this being 50 years after, they're the first metal band ever to put out an album 50 years after their first album. So they make history with that. But when you think about it, for this kind of level of playing and everything at 50 years later, it's really amazing when you look at it like that. But when you look at it compared to their discography and even some of the recent albums, I love the Panic Attack song. I liked a lot. I didn't like the chorus, Panic Attack, Panic Attack. And then the same thing with Serpent and the King. Great song. Like that Serpent and the King, Serpent and the King. I don't like that chorus. The chorus annoys me, but the songs are both incredible. I think they're really powerful, heavy songs. My favorite song is the same one that Ed picked, As God Is My Witness. That song is great all the way through. The song Invincible Sheild, the title track is good. And that one song, Escape from Reality. Did anybody notice that it almost sounds like Ozzy's in there singing like two lines?
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
That breakdown part is super kind of Sabbathy, Ozzy, and
Yeah, I thought he was doing a guest appearance, but I guess it was just Rob just happened to sing that way on that song. But yeah, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. It's real catchy. But yeah, I gotta give it like a 7. And the KK Priest, I'm really blown away by this. I liked the last album a lot when it came out, but the one thing that I didn't like about that album was the lyrics sounded really like goofy, kind of rock and rolly kind of lyrics that I didn't like, and I don't hear that as much on this. And this is just like pummeling all the way through. It's heavier than the Judas Priest album. They're both metal as hell, but this is just heavier. That drummer Sean Elg, man, that guy is unbelievable. You like really hear him. The production of his drums is so perfect on this album. He's also the drummer of the Ross the Boss band. And
Oh, wow,
both
cool.
of those guys are really lucky to have him as a drummer, because that guy he's going to be a big name. I don't know how young he is, but he just really stands out.
Yeah, he's killer.
Richie Faulkner is really amazing on the Judas Priest album too. I should have mentioned that. I really don't think Glenn Tipton plays a note on this album. He might have had some help with arranging these songs and stuff, but when you watch the one video that they put out with them playing, every time they showed Glenn, it'd be like a half a second. All he would do is one strum. You wouldn't even see him doing like a rhythm chords or anything. Like, I just can't see him. He was diagnosed 16 years ago. He didn't let out that he was sick until a lot later, but I just really think he's there as like a prop more, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because KK, wanted to come back once, Glenn wasn't working. When Glenn got sick, KK wanted to come back, and Halford and them didn't want him back. And it's kind of screwed up because Halford left for like 13 years and KK had no problem letting Halford back. And KK's an original member, but I mean, it's a good thing because we got two great bands out there playing. They really should tour together. Like, that would be the ultimate thing. Is put them two together. I mean, you can picture the tour poster. It'd be like the Shield above this guy.
Hey, you got the battle all set there.
Yeah,
that'd be a great farewell tour for Priest.
Yeah, and if you're really caring about your fans and you're not willing to let KK come back in, at least if you go on tour, then you're getting the best of both worlds on one tour. Do it for the fans. All these bands always say, "Oh, we do everything for the fans." It's all horseshit. They do it for themselves and money.
They did get together at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for us.
Yeah,
So
and they didn't like hang out and talk or anything though. They were very uncomfortable, and then they talk shit about him afterwards, saying, "Oh, he was in over his head." Yeah, he was in over his head playing "Breaking the Fucking Law," and and now he's out there killing it. He's out there killing it. So it shows that was all bullshit. He put out 2 albums real quick. He just out there touring. I seen footage. They looked amazing. Ripper is just fucking really great. Like, he shows so much range on this album. And it was an easy choice for me between these two, which one I would buy if I was leaving the record store, because there's not one song on KK's Priest that I didn't like. I mean, the Judas Priest, I thought they were all good songs too, but there was a few ass songs. Like, they were okay. Like, I wouldn't say they're bad songs, but they weren't like great. Where this KK's album, the whole way through, there's not one song that I would skip. So I give the KK like an 8.5. And yeah, I think that was about it. Yeah, that's it. KK for me.
Cool. Thanks, Count Ralphus.
I think I've got some, ideas what's going on in that camp. If you you can kind of figure it out a lot, but it's a shame that they can't put their differences aside and just go out. And even if they didn't do the tour together, just had him come back and be a part of the band, because they're not going to do this but a couple of more years. They just can't,
Yeah, it's funny too how everybody's like kind of being like, "Oh, well, KK retired and he quit them," and so Halford did the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Halford didn't write a book trashing them all though immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot to do with management.
That would help.
I think it's got a lot to do with the management.
Well, the good thing is we get 2 bands now.
They're kind of like puppets to the management, I think.
I think all bands are.
Yeah.
Well, we get twice as many Priest shows.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it. Yeah, good point.
I didn't make it to the tour, but for KK, I wanted to go. My employee Frank went, so it was great.
There's rumors that they're going to come back with Accept. I don't know if that's true or not.
That'd be cool.
Rumors that they'll probably do the West Coast next time, out west, because they mostly just did an East Coast run this last time. Yeah. But they always come to New York. You guys get them.
And the tours, as far as I could see, the shows did really well. I was at Starland, and I mean, that's a big club. And that place, it wasn't elbow to elbow, but it was packed.
Cool.
So he'll be back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing bigger venues next time around.
Cool. Well, I'm going to move over to as Levy said, our Rob Hall for the night. Here we got Tim Denbom from British Steel, who just played at the Quinn's Pins at the Rock Fantasy Show a few weeks ago. And we had a good time, and Bobby Blitz showed up and shocked me. I don't know if you knew he was coming up on stage. I was like, wait a minute, Blitz is coming up on stage. This wasn't prearranged or anything. He just popped up there and did Grinder. It was pretty cool.
Well, as it turns out, Vince, our one guitarist, that's like probably his second favorite band to Judas Priest. I don't know. It's hard to say. They might be above Priest. I don't know, but so he went down and he talked to him and he asked him if you'd want to come up and do a song with us. So Yeah, Vince, that was like a big moment for Vince. He loves Overkill. So
It was a big moment for us in Middletown too. It's cool.
yeah, it was very cool.
He did it so well too. I just loved it.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's amazing. You know, it's kind of funny because I was never really into Overkill, but ever since then I've been doing my homework, and now I love Overkill. They're really good. I didn't realize how good they were.
A couple
What's
of
that?
months ago, he did an award show up in Albany, and they had all special guests come out. And Phil Demo was on guitar, and he actually did Grinder. He sang Grinder at that a couple months ago. So when I heard that he was singing, I knew
that's why Vince asked him if he wanted to come up and do Grinder, because he saw that. He knew that he knew the song. So
cool.
Overkill did a great cover of Tyrant.
Yes, I know. I heard that. I gotta check that out.
So good. So good.
Do my homework. Yeah, so I've been kind of, checking out the new KK Priest album. I just bought it. I got the electronic version. And one thing that jumps out at me, both these albums, the artwork is stunning. That's number one. Someone just mentioned that. So I've been kind of going through and listening to it. There's some songs that stand out for me on the Sinner Rise Again. The opening song, Sons of Sentinel. I like that. One More Shot at Glory, Sinner Rides Again. Really stands out. It kind of is reminiscent to me of the Ripper Owens era Priest. Just probably because of his vocals and maybe the lyrics too, I guess. But no, it's definitely total metal. It's a metal album without a doubt. And for me, I'd probably give it about an 8. Now, if I'm comparing it to Priest, like if I'm putting the two bands together, the one thing I would say, Invincible Sheild is a great album. And the one thing I think that people overlook with Rob Halford, I mean, aside from his vocals, the guy, I think he kind of gets underrated as a songwriter. I mean, I know that Priest is it's a collaborative thing, but when it comes to the songs, he's actually the guy who puts together obviously the lyrics and the vocal melodies. And I think it kind of gets overlooked a little bit what a good songwriter he is. From a dynamic standpoint, if I'm comparing these two albums, I would say that dynamically, I feel like Judas Priest there's more light and dark shade to their sound. Whereas with the KK Priest, it's definitely metal, and it's metal all the way through. I don't think there's the same dynamics, musically speaking. So from that standpoint, I feel like Judas Priest maybe is a little more richer in terms of that regard.
Agreed.
So that alone gives, there's no substitute for Priest because if you go back through their catalog, you look at the music they've done. I mean, Before the Dawn, and then they do Painkiller. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics there. That's what makes Priest special. And I think it was missing even from in a KK Priest. I love Ripper Owens. He's a phenomenal vocalist, But one thing I think they lag behind is probably in the songwriting aspect. They're not quite in that level because you're missing the Halford. It's the vocals are there. I mean, Ripper Owens is a phenomenal vocalist, but Halford's got that special ingredient that's probably the other additive, which is his lyrics and his musical vision. So I would give Invincible Sheild from a Judas Priest album. I rank it very highly. I think it's a very good album. I put it around a 9.5. I thought Firepower is phenomenal, and I really didn't think they could equal that. I don't know if they've topped it, but to me, they've at least equaled Firepower in terms of the quality of the songs. Like, I feel like they're still making an effort to write good songs.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with a lot of your veteran bands that have they have a big catalog. Sometimes it's hard to match your greatest stuff, but I feel like they're still trying to make an effort to put good music out, And so that's what I would put Invincible Sheild just a click above the KK Priest, which I think is a great album. But I always got to give the nod to Priest because of that extra element, that element of the songwriting there.
I've got two questions for you, Tim, before we
Yes.
move on to someone else. Of course, I know that you guys in British Steel keep pretty up to date on your set list. We've had you play for us quite a few years. I remember when Firepower came out, you were doing
Yep.
stuff from Firepower. What do you plan on learning from the Invincible Shield
Oh,
album?
so one thing I didn't mention was the songs I like on Invincible Shield. So we definitely are going to be doing some stuff off that. I already told my guys that we have to learn. For me, it would probably be Serpent and the King.
Uh-huh.
I haven't mentioned that's probably my favorite song on the album. And I think that song at some point we get a lot of requests for, Painkiller's kind of like that song that everybody wants to hear. And I
Mhm.
think at some point people are going to be asking to hear Serpent and the King, just
Okay.
because of the tech. So I would think that's probably one of the songs we would do. And other than that, probably maybe Panic Attack.
Okay.
But there's a lot going on musically with those. For me as a vocalist, it's easy for me to say, yeah, let's do that. But I understand also, we got to learn all the guitar parts and all the breakdowns.
Yeah.
I've been working on Serpent and the King though, trying to get my my head wrapped around that. But that's probably what I would think the song we would probably be bringing into the set list.
I vote for Gates of Hell.
Yeah, honestly, you can't go wrong with any of them. Honestly, but I think I look at it because I'm looking at it from the vocalist standpoint, the challenge of doing Serpent and the King, because that song is challenging. It's actually more challenging than Painkiller, believe it or not. And I wouldn't think that would happen. Rob Halford is 72 years old, that he could come out with something that would challenge me more than Painkiller. But here we are. He's done it.
All right. So that leads me to my second question. Would British Steel cover anything from KK's Priest?
It would have to be, honestly, from my standpoint, I'm open to anything. Like I would be open to doing Halford era stuff.
Okay.
I guess it would come down to my guys in the band, because we also have to look at it from the perspective.
Sure.
There's always this thing where, well, are people going to know this song? Because a lot of times I'll mention songs I would like to do, and it happens a lot with the newer priests, especially. I know Mike, our drummer, he's always concerned with, well, how are people going to receive it? They might not be familiar with the song, and I don't look at it from that perspective. I always look at it from the perspective if there's 2 or 3 people in the audience that know this song, they're going to love it.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone else will jump on board with it too. So I'm one of these. I'm open to anything. I love Ripper Owens, and I'd be willing, absolutely.
Cool.
But it'd have to be a band
Do you
consensus.
guys
Of
ever do
course.
the Ripper stuff, Tim? Do you guys ever do any of the Ripper stuff?
We have not. We've never done anything from those 2 albums. No, we've always done the Halford era stuff. But I think a lot of it is because, like my guys in the band, because some of that stuff is different tunings and stuff. Like, I got to bring a different, they don't want to deal with these different tunings and stuff. And I get it. From a vocalist standpoint, it's a lot easier to, okay, we're going to move to the next song. I know for bassists and guitarists, I got to change. Oh, it's drop D, or that's this.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Cool. All right. Got a vote for Priest here, and Tim, it was great to have you on again tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Hope to do it more in the future, of course, and
absolutely.
hang out. You might have some things you can add to it still. So I'm going to move over next to the Northwestern Territories of Canada and see my good friend Sasquatch.
All right.
I don't know if you're helping me keep score tonight or whether I'm kind of.
I am.
Oh, you are too.
naturally-
Good. Because I've made so many mistakes already. You might have to correct me.
I don't know, man. I think I'm going to say a bunch of controversial stuff, and
Not you.
I'm happy that
I hear soccer chants coming up.
You got to
the
make up
soccer
for.
chant. I'll mention the soccer chant for sure, but like I'm happy that I have some real true Judas Priest knowledgeable people that maybe help my my understanding of the priest world. Just to give you guys a bit of history with Priest, like my cousin got Sin After Sin when it came out. I was 10 years old. I listened to it. I thought it was a bit dry. I was not into it. I had to go all the way to Unleash in the East for me to go back and enjoy the back catalog. When Unleash in the East came out, that was it. I was sold on Priest, the cover, the album. It's one of the best live album of all time. So then I went back and then, Let Us Pray, Call the Priest, all these songs like now make sense. Tyrant and Stealer are probably my favorite Priest song of all time as well. So like, I mean, and Tipton and Downing as a guitar player were a massive influence on my playing, and I respect both of them. And I went back and forth. Like sometime I like Tipton better, and sometime I like Downing better. But I've been listening to these guys, like some of you guys said, for like what 45 years at this point. Um, so almost difficult to be objective and really pick one of those records because they're both like for these guys to release that quality metal at the age they are, like who the fuck are we to pick one? Like, like it's almost like I can only imagine like Alfred at 72 years old, singing these songs. The guy's a fucking metal god master, right?
These motherfuckers are older than we are.
Oh yeah, exactly, right.
Older than I am even.
Yeah. So like I try to stay objective and like, through this assignment, I just try to go like, okay, from a musician standpoint, let's go vocal against vocals, drum against drums, guitar against guitars. And then I like the underdogs, I love that KK was like, thrown out and like came back with such a fucking great product. Like I think it's cool and makes me want to like him more almost because a lot of time I was a Tipton guy, right? When we used to cover Priest at Aggression, I was doing Tipton solos or attempting to do Tipton solos. But so, okay, let's start with KK's Priest. Like Ripper Owen, a lot of respect for the guy. Definitely a great singer. I like Halford delivery better, and I like the way that he's the metal god, right? Like it's hard to go against Alfred in any, like the only guy that can be more god than Alfred is Lemmy. And Lemmy is not because he was a great singer, he's just fucking Lemmy, right? So I think from a singing perspective, I would go with Priest. But I gotta say, like, I don't know who the fuck AJ Mills is. I don't know what he's done before, but from a guitar like solo standpoint, that KK's Priest album is fucking killer. Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know. I don't even know how Downing can like solo like that. Like, I mean, he's always been great, but this is like, some out of this world fucking point on, note selection, to the point, in your face. Like, they can like match any of the young guns out there right now and be like, come on, dude, like, come here, let's listen to this and like, shut up, right? So I really like the guitar, the drums. Like I think it's Tony that said like that guy like the drummer, or no, maybe Count Ralphus. I don't know, forget. Uh, praise the drummer for KK's Priest. So like like that album, like from like a metalhead standpoint, it is on point, and every time I listen to it, I like it more and more. And like. I think like before we already knew like KK Downing wrote The Sinner and he wrote The Sentinel, and now I think we get even more clarification every album because he uses every song that he did with Priest and now builds a new title with it, right? But yeah, like I really like Keeper of the Graves, The Sinner Rides Again. The first three songs are so in your face, and you're right, there's that Free Will Burning vibe. Like I can almost like detect like KK Downing's writing style really being applied to the KK's Priest album, and I don't know. I'm happy I get two Priests for the price of one. Actually, no, price of two. But like I have nothing but good things to say about KK's Priest, and if they come here, I'll go 100% for sure. So now I want to say some controversial shit about
Uh-oh.
So like follow me through the history of like Judas Priest. So you know, Judas Priest, you go to the you go to stained class and all that stuff, and you know, the pre-British Steel, they had a more like a more like obscure type of songwriting, more like Sabbath influence sometimes, but sometimes a little bit their own style. And Priest was Priest, and we loved them. They were not known at the time, like, you know, 77, 78, 79. Not everybody knew who they were. It was perfect. Loved it. Like, then British Steel came out. They were more straight up, not as obscure, like almost like AC/DC on acid. But you know, with Rapid Fire, Steeler, Breaking the Law, all these songs, they were like so. It was really good. After that, you know, they went with a Point of Entry, which was a little kind of like a departure from British Steel, and they started to like, okay, even though I do like Turning Circles, I like it. Doing hot rocking, heading out to the highway. Then they come back with Screaming for Vengeance. Like after like, okay, so British Steel, Punch Us in the Face, Point of Entry, kind of a different, like softer approach. Come back with Screaming for Vengeance, which half the album is like, holy shit, what the hell is going on? These guys are on fire. Then after that, Defender of the Fate Against, Free Will Burning, first song I heard, loved it. Then after that, it gets really weird because, you know, you go to Turbo and you go to like Ram It Down. But honestly, like when Painkiller came out, the first thought that came to my head is somebody else wrote that album for them. Like, I didn't know all these guys, you know, in their British ways, the way they were doing their stuff, they went from like up and down, heavy, not heavy, heavy, not heavy. You know, can then Dave Holland get Scott Travis, and suddenly now starts to fucking like push like some like mid, you know, late 80s, early 90s kind of like in your face like metal. And I don't know, like that album, I always have a hard time liking it because I was like, these guys did not fucking write it. They hired like ghostwriters. Something happened. I don't know. It just, to me, it was not like the original. I didn't know what they went through all their career and then suddenly get with Painkiller and it's like dead on and exactly what people want to hear and it's perfect, right? So like fast forward to now, right? They have like Andy Sneap, like, you know, lurking around. They got like Richard Faulkner. They got. I'm glad that Tim says, Halford doesn't get enough credit for the writing that he does and for the songwriting, the lyrics, and the composition. But I'm asking, like, how much of this new Priest is really done by Priest? And the only reason I'm asking because it's fucking perfect. Like I'm 57. My kids think I'm ancient and I'm so disconnected from anything that's going on in music right now. So imagine if I would be 72 years old. Of course, it's my job. You know, I'll get the new incantation to see what's going on in the world of metal or whatever, right? But so while I was listening to it, I'm like, holy fuck, this song's good, this song's good, this song's great writing. But I got some people around here around Vancouver, BC that, you know, they are ghostwriters and they write songs for fucking bands we know, and they got like agreements saying you're not allowed to ever say that you did this song, this and that, and it says other songwriter and things like that. So I wanted to bring up to the table and be like, you know, I'm sure like my favorite song almost like since Steeler and Tyrant is Silent Scream from the Alford record, which is a fucking like amazing song. So I'm sure somewhere there's some Priest in there, but how much Priest is in this album? Or is it all like Andy Sneap's like magical fucking knobs and Faulkner and like who's doing the solos? I don't know. I don't know. You guys help me. What do you guys think?
So you like the album, but you're afraid it's not actually Priest?
Well, I like the album, and I'm sure there's enough Wow, I'm not sure. I'm asking. So I do like the album. I like the album.
Richie.
My
I
theory
really
is
think it's
that,
got a
like,
lot to do with Richie.
like Tony said, my theory is since Tony showed up, they've put out 3 solid albums. Redeemer wasn't great, but I think you can really hear his influence. Tipton's still hanging around, and Halford's still there. So my opinion would be that it's an entertaining theory, but I wouldn't see any reason to buy it. There's enough talent on hand that they can crank this stuff out. And they're taking a while. I mean, they're making an album every 6 or 7 years. So they're taking their time. They tour endlessly. I mean, these guys are always on the fucking road. They're playing festivals in Europe, then they're coming here. Every 2 years they're here, and then on the off years they're somewhere else. So they're kind of, you know, they're playing, they're always doing it. I feel like it carries over to the album. So I enjoyed your theory. It's well thought out. It's controversial, but personally, I wouldn't buy into it much.
I would like to add something to that, if you don't mind. As far as like, so you're going back to Painkiller and saying like, this doesn't sound like Priest. It might be. Don't forget there's new blood in there with Scott Travis. Okay. And I could tell you from being in a musician's shoes and being in bands where we've fired guys and brought new guys in, whenever new blood comes in, the songs are going to sound a lot fucking different. You know what I mean? So now you've got Scott Travis for that little while, and then you've got Ripper coming in with the Jugulator album, and now you've got Richie Faulkner in there as well. So every time new blood comes in, the vibe is different, the songwriting's different. You know, you've got a new brain in there. You've got a new dude going, hey, let's go a little more extreme. Let's go a little fucking faster. Let's go a little heavier. That's just what I think personally.
And Jay,
Yeah, and also,
I
I think you can't also underestimate the influence of Andy Sneap being a producer.
Mm-hmm.
You look at some of his other work he's done with other bands like Saxon and stuff, and they're putting out great albums. I think Andy Sneap has a lot to do with that as well.
Yeah, very modern, very crisp. You mentioned that Denny, you were talking about Painkiller. I always thought Painkiller. I mean, you never stop being influenced as you get older. I mean, just because you're a musician, you're playing a certain type, you're still influenced by stuff that's out there. We see bands like Slayer when they try to go with some new metal sounds and stuff like that. Painkiller is just like Turbo. Turbo is like, okay, well, all this glammy stuff's coming out. We got to go more commercial. Painkiller, I think it was Metallica and Pantera that really influenced us, because Pantera toured with them on Ram It Down. And then, of course, the next tour, Halford's all out there acting like Phil, running around doing all Phil's moves. And they got heavier on that record. I mean, they didn't have they didn't go power groove like that, but they got heavier. It was more thrashier sounding.
Right.
Double bass for sure.
Ram It Down might kind of suck, but you can already hear Tipton's guitar playing start to really mature, and he's learning new stuff. I mean, Downing did too. But even on Ram It Down, the solos, you can hear the sweep picking and all that shit. That's coming.
They were moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Right.
I think if Scott Travis had joined the band, Ram It Down would probably be more like Painkiller, honestly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Andy Sneap was in a great band called Sabbath from England.
Yeah.
Great thrash band. History of a Time to Come was unbelievable. Everybody talks about his producing, but everybody seems to forget he had 2 great albums with the band Sabbath.
He's a great guitar player. So good. Right. Yeah.
All right.
So
let's throw this back to Denny, and Denny, let's get your rating for Judas Priest as we get too sidetracked.
So like I said, I just wanted to hear like what you guys thought, because a lot of people, all my friends are metalheads, and that's all we do, talk about and think about like theory and things like that. So but I'm glad you guys I'm glad you guys are putting some thought, like, say, in my head, saying like, hey, it's Priest. It's just because sometimes I have a tendency to compare their work to Maiden, but Maiden doesn't have the same fluctuation of musician that Priest had, and Maiden is Steve Harris. Like, if the album sucks, it sucks with Steve Harris, and if it's great with Steve Harris. So I always kind of always have like, okay, where they're at, and try to compare each of them, but it's not even fair because, like you said, like there's a there. And thank you, James, for that Scott Travis comment. Maybe like he did the same for us. We changed drummer, and it does. Just writing the song, they can do things that the other guy could do, and now we like, oh fuck, you can't go like that with your double kick. Let's try this shit. Okay, cool.
Bro.
Yeah, so like I think KK's Priest I would give a 9 out of 10, or 8.5, and I think Priest I would give a 9 out of 10 as well.
Okay.
The only reason I don't go 10 out of 10, I think is on both sides. Like there's always like once in a while they have to go to that fucking soccer chant that is completely not necessary. And on KK's Priest, it's even worse because they do it for 2 bars. Like, remove that shit out. Like, but they're British, they love soccer, not their fault. Like, but
So
it is
for
what
those
it
of
is.
us
But yeah,
keeping score, that's a tie from the Sasquatch.
yeah.
It's a tie. It's a tie.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
a tie for me.
So he's also a Levy. Are you keeping score too? All right, cool. So we're gonna try to speed this up a little. We are running a little late, but it's been great hearing everybody's input. So I'm gonna move over to Tracy Stanton. Then we're gonna go over to James. Then we will go to Levy, Robert, Ovi, and me. We've still got a lot to go, so let's get it going.
Okay, I was actually shocked at how so different both albums sounded to me when I listened to them back to back. Like Priest just has that very classic and clean feel to it. I felt like I was going back, and I was really shocked at how well KK Priest put this album together. I think that the new guitarist and KK, I think it gives KK a new feel. I also might be a little bit biased because I just seen them in concert too. And I just think that Judas Priest definitely had more of that classic feel where with the KK's Priest, they had a little bit more varied and varied tempo throughout the whole album. I think that I got some even some slight Iced Earth elements in the 2 more popular plays with the Sentinel and One More Shot at Glory. And my favorite off of the album was definitely Reap the Whirlwind. That is just amazing. Each instrument in as it was put together, each has their own highlight, and I like that about the song itself too. Judas Priest, I like Fight for Your Life. That was my favorite song off the album. I listened to it 3 and 4 times over again in quick ear shot. I didn't get to pick it apart. So, but in all actuality, if I had to tell a friend which one to buy first, I think it would be the KK Priest album.
Okay.
Judas Priest is classic Priest, in terms of the general feel to the album.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's got different rhythm changes in it, different tones, I mean, towards the end of the KK Priest album, it gets a little bit darker and dimmer, and I like that feel to it. Besides the fact that I've always been a Ripper fan. And the drummer that they're using was also the same drummer that they used in the 3 Tremors.
Okay.
So yeah, he is amazing. He is astounding in concert. So I would say probably an 8.5 for the KK Priest album, and I would give Judas Priest an 8.
Okay. Very good. Cool. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
And we're gonna move over to James right now.
What's up?
As he burps.
Man, it's been cool hearing everybody's fucking opinions. All you guys are so fucking knowledgeable too. It's great to be a part of this. I just want to say that and
Hey,
get that out of the way.
hopefully have you back again.
Absolutely, I would love to come back. So, KK's Priest. I like the album a lot. When I first got it, I got it release day, and immediately, right out of the shrink wrap, I was like, I like the first one better. I like Sermons of the Sinner better.
Okay.
It took me a few listens for it to click, but it's a fucking great heavy metal album. And you know, to what Tracy said, bringing up the Iced Earth thing, it definitely feels like I don't want to say like a color by numbers, but it feels like a prototypical power metal record. Like it just has that vibe.
Mhm.
One thing I noticed about both records in general is that the first 3 songs on both albums are like the thrashers, like the real rippers. On both albums, the first 3 tracks come out of the gate just fucking kicking you in the balls with fast, killer double bass, super fast riffing, super high vocals, all 3 songs on both records. My favorite tracks on the KK's Priest, Son of the Sentinel, Strike of the Viper, and I love Keeper of the Graves. Keeper of the Graves is fucking so dark and fucking nasty. Cool thing about both albums too is they both have like kind of the anthem epics going on. Like, what's the fucking song of British Steel?
United.
I can't fucking think of it, but like, you know, the fist in the air, fucking
United.
epic kind of shit going on.
United.
So you've got that with
Yeah.
One More Shot at Glory and Pledge Your Souls on the KK's Priest. And then on the Judas Priest album, you got Giants in the Sky and Trial by Fire that really have that fucking, you can picture the crowd like pumping their fists and singing those songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Soccer chants.
Yo.
Said
Wait, what
soccer
happened?
chants. I said
Soccer
soccer
chant,
chants.
yeah.
Like
I dig
Denny
that.
calls them.
It can be kind of fucking corny, but I dig that shit, you know, because it's like it gets everybody fucking riled up. You know what I'm
Fist
saying?
in the air.
Yeah. I'll be thinking about the live show.
So here's the thing about the last track, and a couple of you guys have said that you love Wash Away Your Sins. What's up with that weird fade out at the end while everybody's still going? The song is just all of a sudden everything goes silent. That's just so weird to me that happens, like when it does, because there's still lyrics going on, there's still riffs happening, there's still like that whole acoustic thing that's going. Like the song's not over. It's just like, it's almost like, you know, my mother came in the room and I had to turn the fucking radio down to hear what she was saying.
It's a quick fade
Maybe
out
the-
too, right?
Yeah, it is a quick fade out. Yeah.
Maybe
And
the
it's
next
just out of
album will
nowhere,
start.
like,
Maybe the
you
next
don't
album will
expect
start
it.
with that.
I kept thinking I was listening to it on Spotify and an advertisement was coming on or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It does kind of
I'll have to
fucking
go back
sound
and
like
listen
that.
to that now.
Yeah, definitely go back and listen to that. It's going to take you, you know, aback a bit. So, with the Priest album, I've not heard anybody say that they love Devil in Disguise. That is the album, the song, that the first time I heard the record straight out of the shrink wrap, I'm like, fuck. That is a badass, mid-tempo, stomping down the fucking street kind of fucking song, man.
It is
I
a great
want to hear
song.
that one over and over and
Yeah.
over and over again. Love that track.
James, you know what that song has? It's got that in between kind of the intro and the verse and then the chorus and the verse. It's got that real classic 70s style Priest breakdown.
No doubt.
I love that.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And that's one thing that I love about this album is that I feel like they're giving you kind of pieces of their history going through it. There's some 70s shit in there. There's some 80s shit in there. There's some 90s shit in there. There's some current shit in there. I love it.
Fuck you, James. You stole my bit, man.
Oh,
I'm sorry, brother.
sorry,
I'm
and
sorry,
you're next,
brother.
Levy.
But that's been my whole thing this whole time with this record, why I love it so much. I love it more than the last one. I love it more than the one before that. And we're not even going to talk about Nostradamus.
It's better than Nostradamus.
Oh, what's that?
It's better than Nostradamus.
Oh, fucking 20,000 times better. God is my witness. That's been brought up. I fucking love that song. That's another ripper that got buried kind of in the middle there. And that's another thing too, is the track sequence in this album is cool because, like I said, it starts off with 3 rippers in a row. You get some middle pace, you get some anthems, and then all of a sudden, God is my witness is like a fucking thrash song. Love it. Also, Crown of Horns. I can't get that song out of my head. I find myself in the shower washing my balls, and all of a sudden, this crown of horns, it's fucking awesome. I can't get that song out of my head. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Escape from Reality. Somebody brought that up before, and that is just like a stoner doom metal Priest song. Love it.
I actually like that one, yes.
Oh, I love
Great
it.
song.
I want to smoke a bowl and just listen to that song 7 times in a row. It's fantastic. The riffs are killer. Now, I do have one gripe with the Judas Priest record.
Mhm.
And I think Stephen might agree with me with this. Why the fuck does Target get a CD with 3 extra tracks?
Yeah.
And the fucking indie stores, I work at an indie
Agreed.
store. Stevens had an indie store for 40 fucking years plus. Why does Target get a $27 fucking CD with 3 extra tracks? And all right, the cover's different. It's in a book. And then you come to my store and get the CD for $16 and you don't get those extra tracks. It kind of feels like a slap in the face a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
20 years ago was the other way around. Or 10 years ago, you got the crappy version at Walmart that had the beeps in, and we got the real one. It's all
Yeah.
about the corporate money.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's my one gripe with this record is
Mhm.
like I feel kind of slapped in the face.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
'Cause I made a note on the Rock Fan on Sea of Tranquility about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The good thing is those songs are out there. I'm gonna check them out later. Dio got himself the 7-inch, so we can hear them. But I see what you're saying. And you know what? This is a fucking double album, right? There's like 2 or 3 songs aside. They could have squeezed another fucking song on each one of these sides.
Oh yeah, they could have done
But they
that.
could have sold you the extra version and made a few more bucks, or made an exclusive
Right.
with another corporate entity. But yes,
They could have helped the indie stores out and given
Oh,
us
yeah.
the bonus tracks
Yes.
instead of fucking
well,
Target.
that would have made
Totally.
sense.
I'm with you, James.
Agree.
Totally.
Agreed.
Yeah,
So-
I had pre-ordered mine from from Judas Priest's website. It's the only way you could get the one with the 7-inch. And
Yeah.
on release day, it was a week later before I got my album. Thinking, well, you pre-ordered it. You pre-ordering it from the band? You would think they would have it to you on release day, or at
Right.
least offer to send you a digital to listen to until you get your
Right.
physical product. But nothing, and it was like a week later before I actually got it.
Jeez.
Tony,
Yeah,
that
that's
happened to me
bullshit.
last time around with Firepower. I had to wait like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's
Yeah.
fucking bullshit.
All right, James, finish up what
So-
you got to say.
Let's finish up. All right, KK's Priest, what am I giving it? I'm gonna give it a 7. Again, it's great. It's metal. Of course, it's metal. But it's a little one note for me compared to the Priest album. I feel like you get a little more flavors, a little more variety with the Priest album.
Yeah.
I feel like with KK, he's just kind of giving you chocolate, and that's it. I hope you like chocolate. So I'm giving KK's Priest a 7. I'm giving the Judas Priest. It's not a perfect album. Sons of Thunder kind of is there. to
I
me,
like
the
that one.
Serpent and the King, the Serpent and the King got brought up a couple times. I think that song is just kind of there, but it's a damn near perfect album. So I want to give it 8.5.
Okay.
And if I'm telling anybody which record to buy, get the fucking Priest album because
All right.
it's just got a little bit of everything in it.
Right.
So, James, before I go off to the next person, you're going to be at Quinn's Pins next week with your band, Crucial Pain.
Oh, now that you mention it, Steve, yes, I am.
And what?
Nice.
And you're going to be there opening up for Damage Inc., Long Island Metallica tribute with our good buddies Fire Hayes and Scarlet King. So,
That's right.
and what record store do you work at if someone's in the area wants to go shopping?
I work at Diskin Dat Record Store in Bethel, Connecticut. You could find us on Facebook and Instagram. Please give us a like. It'll help us out a lot.
Excellent.
Same thing with Crucial Pain. We're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
Excellent.
So please give us some follows and likes. It helps a lot. It means a lot.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys.
Check it out.
All right. So let's keep this moving. We're running a little late, but thanks so much, James, for being on tonight. I want to have you back because I loved you tonight. You're great.
I definitely want to be back, man. This rules.
And we got Levy. Levy's up next. Robert, Obi, and me, and we're getting out of here.
All right, what's up, K-Dog? Start with KK's Priest. I saw them last week at Starland. I was really blown away. Awesome to see that show in a club. KK still got it. He's doing face melters all night. The other guy doesn't have K's on his fretboard. He has X's, and he's also awesome. And it was my first time seeing Ripper too, and that was cool. I have to say I'd never heard the album before I saw him. I heard some stuff from the last one, but leaving that show, I kind of knew the songs already. Like One More Shot of Glory. It's like they really do what they're supposed to do, which is they're kind of the same tempo. They get in there. I like the album now that I've listened to it for the last week. Like when I'm in the shop, working on games, I'll have it on. I've heard it a few times. It's brief, which is nice. It's like 9 or 10 songs. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yep.
So it kind of does the trick. The Priest album, we've had it a little longer. Plus those songs were trickling out forever, And some of you guys mentioned the same thing that I felt. Like the first time I heard Panic Attack, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of Priest Painkiller by numbers. But man, I don't know. I really come along to liking it. I even dig the little turbo touches that's sprinkled in, like the guitar synth. I think it's really cool. That would be one of my favorite songs. One of my other favorite songs would be Devil in Disguise. Mid-tempo Priest is kind of my favorite Priest. My favorite Priest song is Metal Gods. And it just does the trick. Like I said before, I love that breakdown. I mean, it's got such a great beginning. That could have come off of like Sin After Sin,
Fuck yeah.
And it really rocks. It's a good song. My other favorites, I think it is, but I'm not sure. I really like Escape from Reality. It's got that cool Sabbath-y kind of riff. It's slower, it's doomier. And I really like that part in the middle where he kind of sounds like Ozzy. Like you said, it just really sounds like Ozzy. And I'm going to throw this one in here. Everybody I've heard mention this song says it's filler, but I like Sons of Thunder.
I do too.
All right, there we go. Like James,
I like it, yeah.
I like it.
Like James was saying, the album's got a little bit of everything, and that's kind of like, that's kind of like their 80s arena rocker. Like, let's ride
all night.
Like my girlfriend does not love metal, and I was forcing her to listen to this album because I just wanted to get it fresh in my head before the call. She understands, she knows about the world famous Rock Fantasy and the Rock Fantasy Pop. And even she, by the second chorus, was going like this. She couldn't help it. So I know some people say it's filler, but I think people might come around to that one. And I think it would come out nice if they play it live. So that's kind of my, all the songs, I like. Some kind of remind me of Redeemer a little bit, which isn't my favorite album. Especially some of the choruses kind of lapse into that. But it's a really, really solid album. I liked Firepower a lot too. This is as good or better, I think, than Firepower. So, we got a good thing going here with these guys. If I'm picking one, it's going to be Priest. I find, like James was saying, I find Sons of the Sinner to be the Sinner Rides Again or whatever the hell it was. By the way, Priest does it too, so I'm not going to get on him. But like, every song is like a Priest reference. But he's allowed. He's got the right to do it. It was his band too.
Yeah.
He was a big part of it. But I'm going to give that album. 7. I think it's good, but it's a little one note. And I'm going to give the new Priest one an 8.5 or a 9. I mean, it's
Cool.
too really to know for sure. And like I said before, you're kind of judging it against all the classic albums they've done before. So it's tough to really figure out where it sits. But that's kind of how I feel about it. And hey, the KK's Priest show was fucking awesome. Like I was there with a friend of mine, Mertz, Dave Mertz.
Yep.
And if they hadn't even played me Priest stuff, it would have been a good show. So we got 2 bands now, and I'm looking forward to Priest in next month. And it's going to be pretty kick-ass. Oh, by the way, I heard some of you guys mentioning Gates of Hell. Good song, one of those nice mid-tempo ones. Kind of feels a little like a Ghost song to me.
Really?
I want to be like Sasquatch and be confident. Oh, I can see Tony Dio choking on his vomit there. The guitar intro, for some reason, I don't know. I just felt it a little bit. But
I gotta listen to that again.
Yeah, just
I
a
like
little.
Ghosts, so it don't bother me.
I like Ghost too.
But hey, welcome aboard, James. We've all been here a couple times. For everything there was a first time, and you won't hurt so much in the morning. It'll feel good.
Thank you very much.
It's about time we had James on. I've known James for years, but
absolutely.
And
Good people.
we were both at Alto Music with like 4 other people when Gus G did his seminar. Remember that day?
That was awesome.
There was no one there. It was like Gus G's in Middletown. He's
awesome.
Ozzy's guitar player, and no one gave a shit.
I know.
It was weird.
That was awesome for us, though.
It was me, you, and Steve Levin. Levin, who did.
I got that fucking autograph, dude.
When was that? What year was that?
Whatever year it was probably like 2011, maybe, because he was pausing from Firewind, and he was doing Ozzy then.
Before you move on, real quick, my 3 favorite from KK's.
I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I should have. My KK's are Sons of the Sentinel, One More Shot of Glory, and Strike of the Viper.
Yes. Cool. Thanks, Levy. We're going to Rob, I hope you're still awake. We're keeping you up late. All right, good. So we're going to head over to Rob Tuttle. Of course, he's the bass player for Lady Evil, Greg Wood's project. Good to have you back on the channel.
Say hi to Mark.
Yeah, I will. Him and his dragon.
Nice.
Oh, Mark Garcia. They had the dragon on stage.
Yeah, we go way back.
Okay, so KK's overall I thought was really good. The Sons of the Sentinel I thought was really good. Hymn 66 was really good. My favorite of the whole thing I think was probably Keeper of the Graves. I thought that was probably the standout track for me. I don't see like any comparison between Ripper and Halford. In this album, Ripper could stand in on Merciful Fate. I mean, if he wanted to take over for King Diamond, I mean, he certainly, I mean, that's what it was. He had the low rips and then the high screaming falsettos, and he had that all going down. It was really good. One of the things with all the songs I noticed, every song has an intro. It's like it was either a spoken intro or just like a single solo guitar intro, and it's like they just went to the well like 5 too many times. You do that like once in an album, not like every song. It's a little darker than Judas Priest, which is that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine with that. And like I said, Keeper of the Graves I think was my favorite of the tracks. Judas Priest, I was like really surprised, and this is gonna blow Keeler away because we kind of touched upon this the other night, and I kind of gave him my little heads up, and I'm gonna take that back. I got to give the nod to Judas Priest, The Serpent and the King, Fight for Your Life, Gates of Hell. My favorite was actually Escape from Reality. I thought that was the stand away cut for me. And Halford at 72 years old, man. I wish I could sing like that when I was 32 years old. I mean, I don't know what he's doing over there, man, but whatever it is, he should like teach vocals to anybody.
And
he's really got it. I mean, going on. This guy's 72 years old, man. That's like, wheeling grandpa off to the adult home kind of stuff, and he's like, he's putting kids to shame out there.
And I've heard people try to say it's studio magic, but we've all seen him live.
I saw him a few years back, and he was still cranking it then. So I don't think it's studio magic. Plus, if you're a musician, you can pick that shit out the crowd. I mean, the minute it starts sounding like like one of those popsters with the headset microphones on, that shit ain't real.
You can't fake that stuff.
He had real acoustics with that stuff. That was 100%. I'm not saying he didn't doctor it up a little bit, but that's fine.
I mean, every vocalist by and large.
That. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody
by
does.
and large, I got to give him props. He was on. It's impressive. It really is. It's 72 years old, man. I hope to be alive at 72 years old, let alone fronting a metal band with authority.
He's showing us how to do it.
He could give lessons, and he should be.
Maybe he's getting lessons from Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, Glenn Hughes.
The other timeless one that's out there.
Oh my God! He had like a tiny little bit of chorusing on his vocals, and that was it. There was no processing. He was dead on. He was another one. I went there. He was kind of a throw-in. He was open for Yngwie, and I was like, this would be nice. And I left there going like, man, that guy blew Yngwie off the goddamn stage. Jesus. Yeah, he was amazing. I have to give KK's Priest like an 8.5. Okay. I thought it was really good. I thought there was some like the opening intros to every song kind of like wore on me a little bit. But I have to give it an 8.5. Priest, I give it a 9.
All right.
And this is on like current stuff. Like the stuff that's going around like today within the last 10 years. If you have to scale this stuff by, like old Priests, Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith, you have to knock, for both of these bands, you would have to knock like at least 1 point off each one of those, because this is like on the newer stuff. It's definitely an upper scale, but if you go, the course of metal time, you'd have to knock it from like 9s and 8s to like, 8s and 7s. That's just my opinion. But, this is a strong album, but it's no Defenders of the Faith or Screaming for Vengeance. Let's be honest. It's a pleasant surprise. I'll be listening to it for a while, and it's really good. But it's not the best album they ever put out. I mean, come on, it's just not. But it is really good. And as far as like the Sasquatch's, ghost musicians and stuff like that, that shit's been going on since the big dawn of time. Aerosmith, Kiss, they didn't play on half their albums. People right in there. I was like, Ace ain't even on like 90% of the stuff he's supposed to be on. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with if I have to send somebody into Keeler's to buy an album, it's Judas Priest.
Thanks,
Robert. It's hard not to grade on the curve. I mean, around so long, and I give this album an 8.5 or 9. Like I said, it's hard when you're trying to fit it into a classic catalog. I mean, the new album is great too, but it's no sticky fingers.
Well, if we're going to be fair too, and I think we all naturally have a bias against the newest music from a band, because if you think back about it, like when Defenders of the Faith or Screaming for Vengeance was new, we probably thought, well, it's great, but it's not great compared to Stained Class. I think we do have a natural bias too. 20 years from now, people might be saying that Invincible Sheild is, oh my God, you can't compare anything to that. And so I think that's part of it too, because I find myself doing the same thing. Yeah. And I often wonder if it's just because of our natural bias towards newer music that we don't want to say it's as good as old stuff.
Yeah, I think we can all agree this shit is way better than what Maiden's putting out.
I would have to say, don't tell Mark. But
I actually like Bruce Dickinson's solo stuff better.
His new stuff. I heard it on YouTube. I was like, this shit's
good.
Shit,
that's a whole nother debate for another episode, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Write that one down.
Let's head over to Obi, give my points so we can kind of wrap this up because we're going long tonight. But it's been great.
It's supposed to be short. We went long.
Thanks for staying up till 6 a.m. for us, Obi.
Obi, it's probably 8 a.m. already there.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's 3:45. Tony talked about different editions and colors, so I did go with a hot pink.
Woohoo!
Where'd you get that?
What's your cover look like?
It's the regular one.
Is that from the Priest website?
I got that
No,
one
I
at
got
Rock
it.
Fantasy, so.
I got it from our record store. It's special for our record store, and England had blue and purple, and what's US? US got what color is US got?
Red.
I got
Red,
red.
yeah,
There's
red,
red.
yeah.
There's black.
Yeah, mine's
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, the coloring is
I like
stunning.
that they kind of distribute the colors a little around the world to kind of make it special. I like that they actually do that part. Still.
Cool.
As for the album, I'm going to start with Judas Priest. I think it's their best album since Defenders. Reason why is because it's very dynamic. It has a lot of different things. The biggest thing for me about this album is Scott Travis's progress. He doesn't just hammer down double tap, double bass. He actually has an open hi-hat. He actually has evolved, I feel. He just changes the tempos much more than he has ever done. So he has grown a lot. I give that a lot of credit for the album being so good, because the drums are important for the pace and for the whole feel. As for songs, first time I heard Panic Attack, I wasn't sure if I heard Rush, Power Windows, or if it was Judas Priest I heard, but it was really like, wow, what are we in for now? Because it really took me off my feet. Like, in what's this? Favorite song I would say is Invincible Sheild. I just like the ending, this guitar solo at the end and the whole thing. Devil in Disguise, of course, I really like because of the good drumming. And I think I will choose Panic Attack too, because it's the first song I heard from the album, so it has an impact. Always the first thing you hear kind of rings. It kind of turns back to what you like when you heard it first, and it changes. You get biased with what's coming later. As for rating, I will give it 8. KK Priest, I really liked. It's like it's straight ace razor, just coming through. I really like, and the guitar sound is so good. It's like so good. I can't even describe it. My favorite song is Hilm 66. I really like that spoken part because it's like it takes you on a journey. It's like building up, and it's kind of more to it. So compared to Robert, I like when it's kind of takes you into a place and takes you somewhere else and then finish the song.
Yep.
So, but that's a matter of taste.
Yeah, it's very dynamic.
As for, I would give it a 9. So if I'm going to recommend something, I'd recommend KK because I feel it's more fresh. I feel it's more, I don't know, pounding. I feel it's more, in your face.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Yep. Be aggressive.
Both of these albums are really well produced. I think Priest is a little bit better produced.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just because I have the vinyl and it sounds great. But they both seem to be really well produced, and that's impressive these days because there's a lot of temptation to do shitty production, on records.
I agree, because the both albums has a hard sound, but they have a warm sound too. It's not like sterile. It has like life in it.
So I guess that's it. Obi going for KK. It's my turn to give my picks and wrap this episode. And if you viewers are still watching this, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. And please take a moment to like and subscribe and comment and do all that good stuff, and tell your friends about the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel. So I'm going to give my picks. So my favorites from the KK's Priest are the Strike of the Viper. I really dig that song.
Yeah.
The Sons of the Sentinel. The Reap the Whirlwind, a lot of people, it sounds like Freewheel Burning when it first comes on, for sure. And the Hymn 66, everyone's mentioned most of everything. I would give that album about an 8.5. My favorites from the Judas Priest are the Invincible Sheild, the title track. I love that song. Serpent and the King, I don't know if Ralph's going to ruin this for me because he keeps talking about that chorus. I still think it's a pretty good song, and I've been digging that, but I'll try to block that part out of my head if I start listening to it and go, Ralph's like, that chorus isn't good. And so I dig Sons of Thunder. I dig Trial by Fire.
Oh,
God is
that's
my-
not been mentioned.
Yeah, that's a good
Good.
one.
God is My Witness. It's a strong song. And the Crown of Horns. Is it Crown of Thorns? Is it Crown? It's Crown of Horns on the album.
Horns.
But when
Says
you
Thorns on
when
Spotify.
you if you put it in Crown of Thorns on YouTube, it comes up as Crown of Thorns, so it's kind of
I
Yeah,
weird.
it's
accidentally
weird.
said I said thorns by accident, but yes.
Yeah, but it is. It's Crown of Horns, but I've seen it
Well,
in
it was
search.
on YouTube, Thorns. Yes, it was.
It was on
Yeah,
YouTube as
it
Thorns,
is,
so it's
yeah.
weird.
It's
So
Thorns on Spotify.
that's been circling in my head. Does it say Horns on Spotify or Thorns?
Yeah, no, Horns.
Horns,
It
yeah.
says
says
So
Horns with
it
H.
says Horns.
that's been circled around my head. I'd say it's most commercial, and it seems like they're going one direction with some of these songs, and the other, and they're
Well put.
going a completely other direction religiously with another song. But
Well
it
put.
got me a little. Maybe he's trying to gauge where he's going.
What the fuck is a crown of horns, though? It's kind of bothering.
I don't know. Oh my God, Levy's going crazy. Look at that sound. That's the most crazy effects we've ever had on the Rock Fantasy File. I saw horns, I saw strobes, I saw lasers. It was like Judas Priest were coming out in this room. Are you sitting? And I will give this a 9, this album. So I'm going to go with Judas Priest. I'm going to say to pick that up. But I tell you what, that KK's Priest, I consider that the darker record. I consider it's much more aggressive.
Yeah.
Be aggressive.
And yeah. So I'm going to do that and have Priest as a slight win. I want the viewers to comment what they like about these albums and what they like best. And thanks
just for the record, that's 4 for KK, 6 for Priest, and 1 tie courtesy of the Sasquatch.
Is that what you got, Denny?
What I have.
That's exactly what I have.
And my one
That's what
question
I
for
figured,
Levy,
I mean-
Levy, are you sitting on Ronnie James Dio's sofa?
No, that's right behind me there. The green sofa that I won in his auction. I do.
So what did you win at the Elton John auction?
That shit was it was way too rich for my blood. He had a couch that went for like $7,000. And my babe was like, she almost wanted to do it, but that's a lot of money for Elton's fucking couch. So didn't do it.
Get his Yellow Brick Road.
But Levy was at the Elton John auction, and we were talking. He goes, checks out a lot of stuff. He lives in Manhattan, so, and he's got the famous thing. He's got Dio's couch there. So, but Elton John,
cool.
that stuff went crazy money.
Crazy money. Some
But
awesome fucking stage worn boots from the 70s went for like $100K. What I was really interested in, and it went for $11K, which was beyond what I was going to spend, but it was a Muhammad Ali signed speed bag. 2 albums from Muhammad Ali, 1990. Really wanted that.
Because we were talking Elton John too, because I had just gotten the brand new Elton John pinball, which is amazing.
Well, his autograph pinball went for $75K.
And then he did another auction for AIDS benefit where they went for even more.
Yeah, 200. It was for charity, but
like $200,000 or something. Yeah. So anyhow, we're way off subject, but we're still talking about an English rocker. We're talking about Elton John and Rob Halford, and surprised they haven't done a song yet together. Ozzy did one.
That would have been epic.
Ozzy did one with Elton. So anyhow,
I want to bring up one more thing if I could.
Please do.
Our buddy from Canada up there brought up the idea of ghostwriters, and is it really Priest playing on the record? I had read an article not that long ago that Priest only recorded this album when Glenn Tipton was having good days with his symptoms.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
Which makes me like the album a little more.
Mm-hmm. I believe Glenn contributes some riffs, maybe even Richie claims that he did a solo on Sons of Thunder and another song. I forgot which one of the extra tracks. I mean, he can still play. We see him. He looks worse every tour, but he comes out and does Metal Gods, and he comes out and does The Living After Midnight, and he plays the solos. So, I think he's still part of the band. And
let's see a video of him playing anything from this album. See one video.
God, Ralphus, so mean.
He's calling him out.
Music video, they couldn't show him doing anything but one strum on the guitar. Every time he showed him, he would just be holding the guitar, and then all you see was one strum. One video of him in the recording studio, then I'll shut up. But I don't think he played one. He's 76, by the way. He's older than Halford. 76. He's had Parkinson's for how many years now? I don't know.
But you can go on YouTube and watch him play the Living After Midnight solo 3 nights ago.
He's
Still
been
play
playing
guitar.
he's been playing that for 40 years, and that's easy. So he's done that, and like Breaking the Law. I think we're all. He's done like
Parkinson's makes you shake, right? It might help him play a fucking solo.
You never know.
Now, my grandfather had Parkinson's. It doesn't help you do shit.
Yeah.
My dad did too. But I must say, there is good days and there is bad days. So
of course.
That is true.
Yep.
Well, anyhow, I hope everyone enjoyed this Priest episode tonight. Judas Priest, KK's Priest, both great bands out on the road.
Judas Priest.
And hopefully we'll see you guys at one of the shows, or we'll see you soon. And we'll be back next week on the Rock Fantasy Files. And I think we're going to go back to 1973 next week. So we're going to be doing a 50th anniversary episode, but we will figure out those out.
74.
Oh, 74, huh? Another senior moment. I'm up too late. All right. We will see you guys next time on the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel.